Hey everyone, I'm super excited to present our next candidate for Project 1000 Hire. Today we have my dear friend Ashna. So first of all, Ashna, thank you so much for joining us on this initiative.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here with you.
It's absolutely our pleasure. So Ashna, for people to get to know you better, why don't you give us a brief description of where you are from and something about you?
Right. So I am born and raised in New York City, specifically Queens. Um, Besides most of my life, I spent a couple of years in Boston for my undergrad, and then I was actually in Ireland, specifically Dublin, for a year because I studied international business. So we were required to be abroad for a year. So I did a semester of classes and then a 6-month co-op.
Mhm.
And if you're not familiar, a co-op is like whereas traditional schools do 6 to 8 week summer internships, Northeastern does co-op. So for the 6 months, you're working full time in an entry level capacity. So it's a really cool way to really understand what the company's about, what your role's about, and really dive deep. And then after graduation, moved back to New York City, lived in Manhattan for a bit, and now I'm back in Queens.
Wow, super cool.
I
Ireland, I love that. It's a great place.
love Ireland. I love their accents.
So, you graduated from Northeastern, went to Ireland, back to New York City. I'm assuming you have done a ton of stuff, been to a lot of places. But why don't you tell us about a personal project or accomplishment that you've worked on and are super proud of?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been passionate about community and bringing people together. More so in my personal life, in my professional life, I've always kind of worked full-time roles, not in community. But outside of work, I've been involved in a lot of different organizations, and I've always wanted to, at some point in the future, have my own business around building communities and bringing people together. Um, and that was always supposed to be down the line. But then when COVID hit, this opportunity just kind of presented itself. And at the end of April, I was able to launch Meeting Ground, which is my own brand around bringing people together. And in May, I was actually able to partner with this company called PopShift, and we held a week-long fundraiser in honor of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, where we held a number of events. We raised about $700, donated to some really great nonprofits in the area, had about 140 attendees across the board. So Meeting Ground is like a side passion project that I'm really excited to keep on working on.
Wow. Bringing people together is the most important thing you possibly could do. Community is everything. So, so let's flip the script a little bit, and moving away outside of community and going into personal. Tell us about a personal challenge that you're able to overcome.
Yeah. So this might be a challenge that I think everyone kind of struggles with. Then I'll talk about how it's mine. I think up until college, at least me personally, I felt as though there had been this, I guess, path that I was following, right? Even throughout college, I always felt like I was playing at being an adult where, yes, I was living by myself and I was cooking for myself and I was making all these choices, but still I had an advisor. I had a curriculum I was following, my major I was following. And it always felt kind of scary to me to think about life after college or I guess maybe life after your first job, because I feel like in some ways my first job was kind of an extension of what I did in college. But just thinking about, okay, well, now there's no path and it's just this life, this blank slate of life where I can like quit my job, move to Florida, and that would be my life and it would be my choice. So I'd studied finance in undergrad and I had done finance co-ops, like 2 co-ops in larger companies in some kind of financial services capacity. I graduated from college and thought, okay, I guess I should go into financial services because it's what I had been working up to. It just felt like it's what was next in my path. And I started working in financial services and I was learning a lot, again, in a very large company, doing a lot, but something just wasn't feeling right. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why I felt this way. Why wouldn't I be feeling right? Like I had a really good job, was living in New York City, um, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. And okay, fine. So maybe I figured out what was wrong, but then what's next? I had been like on this path, working towards this path, and then I was on this path and realized that I didn't fit well. So anyways, there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of confusion during that time in my life. Had no idea what was going on because I'd never gone through it. Um, but then I decided to just shake things up and I decided to look at startups, like smaller startups. when I joined my last company, we were about, I want to say 100 to 150 people. So very different from like the really large organizations I was coming from. And I decided to look in operations because why not? I had liked solving problems. I was good at project management. I liked working with other people, working by myself, and just fixing things. So one of my really good friends was working at this company, and she told me to come over. They had a job in operations so everything worked out really well. And I just loved the chaos of the environment I was in. I loved doing a million things at once and having so much on my plate. And it was so different from the larger, more structured organizations I had come from.
Mhm.
It was 100 times more chaotic, and it's something I just really an environment I really thrived in. Um,
Wow. So, I mean, that's absolutely inspirational. That's absolutely amazing.
it's very messy. It doesn't sound as messy as it was, but it was a messy process.
Well, everyone goes through some type of structure like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know what you're going to bring towards your next job. Your positivity, your optimism, your, deciding what you want to do and making it happen, just like you shared before, bringing people together and creating community. But what are you looking for in your next role?
So, like I mentioned, when I was working in operations, I actually really liked it. Um, and as I mentioned, I also love community. I love bringing people together. So honestly, in an ideal role, I'd be doing some mix of the two, like either building out a community or building out the structure of a community, which brings in like the whole operation side of things, or doing operations for a company that ideally works in community or brings people together. But honestly, I'm also completely comfortable with continuing to do my community work on the side because I know that's something I will always be passionate about and something I will always be working on. And I love working in business operations. So professionally, that's definitely something I want to pursue. But again, ideally it would be some kind of mix, but also I'm happy keeping things the way they are because it's been working for me for the last couple years and I know it'll keep working for me.
Amazing. So first of all, Ashna, thank you so much for joining us on this project. And I want to wish you a ton of success and blessing. And we're going to send all the opportunities, everything in our power, we're going to send all the opportunities within community building and business operations and mixing those two together your way. So a lot of luck and a lot of success. Thank you.
Thank you so much.